Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Eleonora Salas, Director of Studies at ICANA Binational Center in Córdoba, Argentina. Thank you for joining us today. And welcome again to the 10th webinar of Teaching Capacity Building 2022, a professional development program sponsored by the US Embassy in Buenos Aires, Argentina, that we started hosting in 2020 in response to the challenges we faced at the beginning of the pandemic. If you have attended the previous webinars, you already know that the program consists of 15 webinars presented by hardworking Argentine English teachers that are alumni of US-sponsored professional development exchange programs. They are sharing their experience and best practices as educators and language teachers in their quest to create environments that support engagement for learning. We do believe that no matter where we are in our learning journeys as teachers, we can always learn something from the journey of others. So we sincerely hope that these presentations will inspire you to bring new perspectives into your teaching practice, and that they will help you create exciting learning experiences for your students. Our deepest thanks to the US Embassy, the Regional English Language Officer, all the alumni presenters, and the Argentine Network of Binational Centers for their support in the organization and delivery of this program. During the presentation, you are welcome to type your questions and comments in the chat section. The presenter will address them as she checks the chat during her presentation. Also, by the end of the presentation, in the chat, you will find the link to download your attendance certificate. Our presenter will also share a link to a handout and her resources. I would like to introduce now Alba Carolina Rioja, our speaker for today's webinar. She has already presented at the beginning of the program. Alba has 2 graduate teaching degrees, one from Profesorado Superior de Lenguas Vivas in Salta, and one from Universidad CAESE. In 2017, she was granted a Fulbright scholarship to be part of the Teaching and Excellence Achievement Program in the USA, where she attended a series of customized professional development courses at Appalachian State University and delivered lessons on cultural issues. Also in the same year, Fundación Luminis granted her a scholarship to participate in the postgraduate specialization in special didactics at Universidad Nacional de Córdoba. And her specialization dissertation focuses on how visual literacy can be introduced in EFL lessons as a tool for improving language skills as well as critical thinking skills. She has been teaching English for 17 years in various educational contexts, and currently she is part of ICANA's teaching staff, and she works at college, tertiary, and secondary levels. We are so grateful to have you, Alba, sharing for us and cascading your experience and knowledge. Today, she will be presenting Enhancing Visual Literacy Through the Magic of Picture Books. So we're ready to enjoy your presentation. Thank you all for posting your comments in the chat and telling us where you are from. So the floor is yours, Alba.
Thank you very much, Eleonora. Thanks for your presentation. Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, or good morning, because I know that there are teachers who are connected from different parts of the world and also from different parts of Argentina. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing my presentation. And my presentation, today's presentation, is about the use of picture books, enhancing visual literacy through the magic of picture books. Okay, Here in my second slide, you can see some classic picture books written by famous picture book writers and illustrators, such as Anthony Brown, Satoshi Kitamura, or Maurice Sendak, and also Eric Carle. And we are going to, I have two main objectives for my presentation. And the first one is to open up the world of picture books and add tools to storytime sessions that you may carry out with your students. And also that you become, at the end of this session, you become as passionate as I am about picture books, okay? And the word picture book can be spelled in two ways, as a compound noun or as a single noun. And I prefer to spell it, to write it in a single noun because it indicates that its nature is dependent on both words and pictures. Okay, so let's start with our workshop plan. First, we are going to deal briefly with multimodality, with the concept of multimodality, and within that concept, the concept of visual literacy. After that, we are going to get to know the differences between illustrated books and picture books. In the first part of this session, we are going to deal with different image-text relations that we can find in picture books. Those relations will allow us to understand the interaction that we can find in picture books. And in the second part of the presentation, we are going to deal with the whole book approach. And that is the approach that we can use in order to conduct storytelling in our classes. Okay, let's start with multimodality. Okay, let's start. We communicate in different ways. Whenever we communicate, we make use of different modes of communication. We use the visual mode, the oral mode, the linguistic, the spatial, and the gestural modes. And whenever we speak about picture books, we make use of three main modes of communication: the visual, the linguistic, and also the spatial. You are going to see why. Okay, so let's start dealing with visual literacy and why through picture books we can enhance and we can promote the development of visual literacy in our classrooms. I think that you would agree that the visual mode of communication is very important nowadays. I mean, I would say that is the dominant mode of communication if you think about social networks, and children are all the time bombarded by images everywhere. So let's see, I included two definitions of visual literacy. One that is very simple, that is visual literacy is the ability to read, that is to say to understand and write or produce images. Through this concept, we can see that we can read images. Yes, we cannot only read text, but we can read images, and we have to learn how to read images. The second concept is longer, and it was written by Rainey. And let's see, visual literacy is a history of thinking about what images and objects mean, how they are put together, how we respond or interpret them, how they might function as modes of thought, and how they are seated within societies which gave them rise. So they are connected with the context, they are connected with when we interpret them according to the different cultures, for example. So they may play different functions in our society. Okay, now let's move on to the differences between illustrated books and picture books. So let's see the differences that we are going to find. In the case of illustrated books, illustrations are based on the text. What we read in text is illustrated in the images. So there's no interaction. So you can see the illustrations, yes, are connected with the text. Illustration, let's see the second characteristic. Illustration help enhance the story in this case, and story can be understood without the illustration. So in this case, in illustrated books, their images are just a complement of the text. On the other hand, in picture books, pictures plus the text tell a story. So we have to pay attention to the text and to the pictures. And as you can see, the word text is in brackets. Why? Because there are wordless picture books. Picture books that only are made up of pictures. And the second characteristic is that there is a close interaction that creates layers of meaning. So we can make meaning of the interaction of pictures and text. And illustration play a major role in bringing out the story. So we have to pay close attention to the pictures. And we are going to see, and I'm going to show you many examples. And if you don't know how to identify a picture book, you can do it by counting the number of pages, because they have a standard number of pages of 32 pages. Okay? So let's start with the image-text relations. In order to work with this topic, I shared the materials. At the end, I will share the references. And if you want to know more about these image-text relations, they are studied by many experts. In this case, I read about these relationships in the Dynamics of Picture Book Communication, written by Nikolayeva and Scott. And also I read Answorth, and who writes, or who is an expert on systemic functional semiotic theory. Okay, let's start with the first relationship that we can find in picture books. And you can write your comments in the chat about these relationships. The first relationship that I want you to show you is this one, that is called symmetrical or concurrent relationship. In this case, there is, let's say, no interaction, or the text says what, or the picture illustrates what the text describes. Okay, I took this picture from The Tunnel, which is a book written by Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown is a British laureate illustrator and picture book writer, and I will show you many books written by him. In this book called The Tunnel, this is a story of two siblings who don't get on very well. And here you can see in this picture, this is just the first or the second page. And as you can see, you have two different pictures where the sister is shown reading a book and the boy is shown playing soccer. Let's see the description. The sister stayed inside on her own, reading and dreaming. The brother played outside with his friends, laughing and shouting, throwing and kicking, roughing and tumbling. So there is a symmetrical relationship, because what you read in the text is what you find in the image. Now, let's move on to the second relation. And in this case, we can talk about complementary or augmentation. And let's see, I took these pictures from Gorilla. Also, this is also a picture book written by Anthony Brown. And this is a story of Anna, who lives with her father. Her father doesn't have much time to spend with her, and she loves gorillas. In this case, the image or text contribute to the overall meaning of the story. Sometimes the image will tell you more about the story, and sometimes the text is going to tell you more about the story. And so tell me, can you see what happens in the first page? It says, Anna threw the gorilla into a corner with her other toys and went back to sleep. In the night, something amazing happened. So the text says that something amazing happened. So what happened? Can you tell me? Okay, I will read. Okay, very good. The gorilla came alive. And the text doesn't tell you that. So you have to ask the children, or you have to look at the pictures carefully in order to get to know what happened with the gorilla. There are other details that are very nice to take into account. For example, what else can you tell me about the picture? The pictures in the first page, for example. Okay, he also got bigger. Good. What else? Can you look at carefully the first page? There is a doll. What happened to the doll? What do you see? Okay, the picture of the gorilla became bigger. Okay, so what happened? She's scared. Okay, so the doll became alive. Good. So there is an interaction. Yes, so the pictures tell also stories. So we are going to find many of these examples in Anthony Brown's book and in other picture books. Now let's move on to the third relationship that we can find in picture books. This is called counterpoint or divergence. Why? Because the image and text are opposed. It seems that they go in different directions. The images will tell you a story, and the text will tell you another story. And I took these pictures from Lily Takes a Walk. This is a story about Lily who takes a walk with Mickey, her dog, and she's so happy buying things and buying flowers through the street, but something happens to his dog. Let's see what the text says. Today, on the way home, she does the shopping for her mother. Okay, but what happens? What happened with Nikki? Can you tell me? Can you discover what happens? Look at carefully. It's strange, okay. What else can you tell me about? The dog can see things beyond. Yes, very good. Okay, there you can see that he is terrified with a post. Yes, with a box, post box. Okay, and it seems like a monster. Yes, and then, okay, you wrote something here. Okay, post box dropping letters. Okay, and it has teeth. Okay, so let's see another picture from this very interesting book written by Satoshi Kitamura, a Japanese picture book writer. And okay, what can you see there? What can Nikki see there? The text, as we can see, the text tells a different story. The text says, then she stops for a moment to look at the evening star. Look, Nikki, she says, that's called the dog star. She is so happy. But what about the atmosphere of that street? The street is dangerous for the dog. Yes, he is imagining dangerous things, monsters. Okay, and can you see at the end of that gloomy street? Okay, the dog is seeing faces everywhere. Story direction has changed. A dangerous bridge. Yes, there is a bridge. There are lampposts that resemble eyes. The cones resemble the teeth. Poor doggy, he's scared of the tunnel. Yes, and his owner is so happy. So in this case, as you can see, there is a divergence relationship because the images go through a line. Yes, the images tell a different story from what the text says. Good. So let's see. So here we have seen three types of relationships. And let's see another type of relationship that we can find in picture books. This is called interactive. Why? Because there is an interpersonal relation with the viewer. The picture tries to make a kind of contact with them, with the reader. In this case, these two pictures were taken from the book called Into the Woods, also a picture book written by Anthony Brown. And this is a story similar to Little Red Riding Hood, but in this case, the boy is the protagonist of this picture book. And he has to walk through a dangerous wood, a gloomy wood, where he encounters many things, many strange things. And he has to take food to his granny. And there he finds his father and his mother. So it's like the images are telling you something. Yes, it's like they are hiding you. So this is the interactive relationship. And we can also find other types of relationships here. The intertextual relation, that is the relationship between texts. And in this case, I took these pictures. Yes, the first one, the birthday suit, I took it from Willie's picture, also a book written and illustrated by Anthony Brown. And as you can see, most of his characters are gorillas or chimpanzees. And in this case, he recreates, in the whole book, he recreates different masterpieces. In this case, he is recreating the Birth of Venus by Sandro Botticelli. And he recreates it and makes it very funny. So in this case, we can see that there is a connection between two different masterpieces, two different types of texts. That's intertextuality. And another important element that we can find in picture books, in postmodern picture books, is surrealism. The first picture, that is more or less the end of the gorilla story. And there you can see Hannah dancing with his friend, his gorilla friend. And at the back, what can you see? Something very strange or very surreal, I would say. What can you see? And also, if you look at the second picture on the right, you can see that there are also strange things happening. And that picture was taken from Voices in the Park, a classic picture book written by Anthony Brown. What can you tell me about? Okay, yes, Bush is dancing with the form of gorillas. Yes. Trees on fire. Okay, so they are like absurd things that appear and they are disorienting. And so funny things sometimes, okay? And we can make meaning of those things. Yes, why? You can ask your students or the children, okay, why do you think that those gorillas are dancing at the back? What can you say about that? What happened with the tree? Yes, you can make meaning of those absurd things that appear in some picture books. Okay, so let's try. Up to now, we have seen these image-text relations. And let's review, because I'm going to show you some pictures and you are going to tell me what type of relationships you can find in the following pictures. So the first one was the symmetrical concurrent. So there is a close relationship between the image and the text. Then you have the complementary or augmentation, when the text tells you more or the image tells you more than the text. And we have also the counterpoint or divergence relationship, where the text and the story go through different places, through different directions. The interactive, when the image tells you something, wants to like interact with the reader. Intertextuality and surrealism. Okay, so I'm going to show you. Are you ready to start with this practice? Okay, let's see this one. I took this picture from Willie and Hugh, also a book written by Anthony Brown, a beautiful book about friendship. In this case, what type of relationship can you find? Look at Willie. It's Willie, and the text says Willie was lonely. What can you tell me? Okay, what type of relationship? Does the text say the same as the image? Does it show the same as the text? What type of relationship can you find there? Concurrent. Okay, I agree with you. with Maria Florencia. Very good. It's concurrent or symmetrical. Very good. Symmetrical or concurrent, because yes, there is a close relationship between the text, and he is really lonely. Yes, he has a blank background there. Yes, a white background. He's really lonely, and and we can also say that he's really sad. Okay, let's see another picture from this book. So there you can see Willie, and at the back you can see gorillas having fun in the park. And it says, everyone seemed to have friends. Everyone except Willie. What type of relationship can we find there? I'm reading you. Symmetrical relation. Let's see your opinions. Look at the cats. Look at the cats. They are also in company. Yes, everyone has a company. Also the dogs, everyone, it says. Complementary. Yes. Okay, I agree with you. It's complementary. Concurrent. I could say it's concurrent because the text tells you the same as the picture. Of course, that you can also think about the images. You can see the kites. Yes, there are two gorillas with two kites, two dogs. Everyone has company. Okay, great. Now let's continue with another picture. Let's see. This is a picture taken from Rosie's Walk. And this is a very classic picture book, and it is more or less 50 years old. And look at the picture. What can you see in the picture? The text says, Rosie the hen went for a walk. Okay, I agree with you, with Alejandrina. Complementary. Okay. Yes, but let's see another picture. Yes, and then it says, across the yard. And there is a hen, Rosie, and there is another character, important character there. Who is the other character? Who is the other character? Yes, I agree with Mohammed. It's Divergence. Okay. Because it's counterpoint or divergence. In Rosie's Walk, the fox will never be mentioned, and you have to make meaning of the pictures because the pictures are going to tell you a different story. In that case, this is a very nice book, and then you can work with prepositions if you are working with prepositions, because the book is full of prepositions, the text, and it has, I counted the number of words, it just has 32 words, And I have the book here, Rosie's Walk, and I will show you. So if you can see the screen, my screen. Yes, this is the book. And it says, Rosie the hen went for a walk across the yard, around the pond. So it's full of prepositions that you can also work as to extend the activities that you can do with this picture book. Okay, in this case, it's counterpoint or divergence relationship that we can find. It's similar to Lily Takes a Walk, to that book. Okay. So let's continue with this one. I took this from Gorilla. In one of the nights, the gorilla takes Hannah to a zoo. And there they can see this chimpanzee and also this orangutan. The gorilla took Hannah to see the orangutan and a chimpanzee. She thought they were beautiful, but sad. What type of relationship can you find? What type of relationship? What are they looking at? Who are they looking at? What do you think? They are very strong images, I think. Interactive. Yes, I agree with you, Eleonora. Yes, it's interactive. Very good, Maria Florencia. Great, great, great. And we can see them through bars. And that's really shocking. And the skill that Anthony Brown has to draw these beautiful images and animals, the hair, is amazing, amazing, really. Okay, so let's continue with the last picture, I think. So what's going on in this picture? Here we don't see text, but try to find something hidden in these woods. Yes, what can you see? Hey, very good, Maria Florencia. Surrealism, I agree with you, and intertextuality. And why do you say that? What makes you say that there is an intertextual relationship? Which images can you see that make you say that? Hey, the Little Red Riding Hood, yes. In this case, it's a boy. Okay. Some hidden images in the woods. Perhaps you have to make zoom with your cell phones or with your computer. The trees look like arms. Okay, very surrealist. Very good. Some elements hidden there. Can you discover what they are? There is a cat. Okay. There is a cat. What else? This book is very interesting, and I will tell you, for teachers who work in public schools in Argentina, some Anthony Brown's books are delivered by the Ministry of Education to the different libraries in public schools, in primary public schools, of course in Spanish, but yes, why not working with the pictures? Okay, you can work with the pictures, or you can find the videos, these books in English in YouTube, okay? So you can find these books in the libraries, in public school libraries. A pumpkin, a shoe, okay? There is a horse. Yes, and what about the shoe? Does it ring you a bell? Can you connect that with story? That's connected with a classic, yes? Cinderella, yes. Okay, so there are many other elements that you can see there. There is a tower at the back, also a horse, as you have said. Okay, good. So there are hidden elements. When I share the presentation, I'm going to share at the end of the presentation, I'm going to share a Padlet where the presentation will be in PDF format, and you will have the possibility to zoom in the pictures and find more pictures, interesting pictures. Okay. So let's move on to the second part of this workshop. So in order to understand the picture books, we have to know the types of relationships that we can find in picture books. I will present this approach that I took it from a book called Reading Picture Books with Children. Look at the title. The 2 is crossed out, and we are going to see why. Because we are going, in this approach, we are going to develop an approach where you are going to construct the story with the students. Okay. So this book was written by Megan Dowd Lambert, who used to tell stories in Eric Carr Museum of Picture Book Art. Eric Carr is a famous picture writer, and he was the one who wrote the famous The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Okay, and in this approach, we are going to make use of active listening. This is a co-constructive reading approach. Why? Because there is less performance from the part of the teacher or the storyteller and more discussion. So the idea is that we interact all the time with the students and we make meaning from the images and from other elements of the book. And it invites children to make meaning of art and design of the paratextual and textual elements. And we have to make meaning, yes, through the pictures and through the architecture of the picture book. So let's see this. And also in this approach, we're going to use visual thinking strategies. Visual, this is an inquiry-based approach based on three main questions. These are the three main questions that you can use with any image, yes, with any image that you work with in your classes. The first one is, what's going on in this picture? That's a very simple question that you can ask, and it invites students to just observe and tell you, yes, what's going on, what they can find. The second one is, what do you see that makes you say that? So in that way, you are looking for evidences why they are saying that they can see this or that, or they think something about the image. And the third one is, what more can we find? So look at the image closer, okay? So these are the three questions that you can use whenever you conduct these sessions, yes, with picture books. Okay, now let's start with the architecture of picture books. And we're going to make meaning of the different paratextual elements of picture books. We are going to make meaning of the trim size and orientation. The trim size is the size of the picture book. The orientation, it may be vertical or horizontal, the jackets and the covers, the end papers, the front matter, the typography, and the page design. Okay, so let's start with the trim size and orientation. We may find a landscape format, a portrait format, a shaped format, a square design, a horizontal, vertical. There are many types. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I want to show you the books. Okay. So let's see this book. Just let's see. This is Zoo, written by Anthony Brown. A type of orientation does it have? Horizontal, vertical. What can you do? Vertical, okay. What about the size? Yes, it's vertical. It's called the zoo. What about the picture, the cover? How can you make meaning of the name? Of the name of the book and the format, the image that you have here. Okay. Yes. What about, does it resemble something? Okay, the lines might resemble a jail. Very good, very good. Yes. It tells you something about the story, the bars. Yes. They resemble the stripes, the zebra stripes, but at the same time, the jail. Yes, the bars of the jail there. Okay, good, very good. So you can make meaning of the size and orientation. I will show you another example, the very hungry caterpillar here. Okay, this is called the landscape format. And what do you think that Eric Carl decided to use this landscape format and also the horizontal format? Okay, what do you think? Okay. What do you think about a caterpillar? Okay, to resemble the caterpillar, yes. Very good, to resemble the caterpillar. Okay, yes, this is a very nice book. Good, this is a landscape format. Excellent. And I will show you another. That is the, I'm going to show you this. Yes, this is called Little Beauty. As you can see, what is the shape of this book? What is the shape? Okay, yes. That's a squared shape, huge, very good. Its size, it's quite huge. And look at the main character. It's a gorilla. Yes, this is called Little Beauty. And this is a story inspired in Coco's. If you have read about Coco, that was a gorilla that died some years ago, but he was taught sign language. Okay. Yes, it's huge like the gorilla, realistic, and he has a very small friend. Yes, a very tiny friend, a cat. Okay, so we can make meaning. I wanted to show you that you can make meaning of the orientation of the book, the size of the book. Okay, so let's continue with the jackets and covers. Some books have jackets. Yes, and sometimes you can remove the jacket and examine the casing. Sometimes the casing is different from the jacket, and you can create suspense when you take out the jacket, the book. And I will show you in this case, I will show you this book. This is a wordless picture book. Yes, the lion and the mouse. Okay, this has a very important prize called the Caldecott. This is an American prize for best picture books. And you can also make meaning of the picture book if you open it and you say, okay, what can you see here? And there you can see the characters, the main characters. As there is no title, you can make students guess about the name of the title. Yes, a mouse and a lion. Here we have the jacket, so we can create suspense and take out the jacket and look at the pictures that you can find in each of the covers, yes? The front cover and the back cover. Okay, just to show you how you can create suspense and make meaning of the different elements of picture books because they are works of art. Okay, let's continue with another element that are end papers. And Megan Dowd Lambert, the author of the whole book approach, she says that picture books are the theaters of the lab. And the end papers are the visual overtures. They are going to introduce you to the story. They are the theater curtains, she says. And sometimes, or most of the times, they match the overall palette of the picture book, and they are cohesive devices. Let's see some examples here that I included here. And I took this picture from the tunnels and papers. As you can see, they represent the siblings, yes? The flowery pattern represents the sister, and the brick pattern, the boy, yes? These are the end papers that you can find at the beginning of the book, okay? And if we turn to the end papers that are at the end of the book, they are called end papers, but you can find them at the beginning and at the end. And there you can see, yes, that the flowery pattern belongs to the sister and the brick pattern to the boy. There, and at the end, you can see that the book and the soccer ball are together. So what can you say about the story? You haven't read the story, but what can you tell me about the story through the end papers? Any idea? Okay, she's creative. You wrote, yes, someone wrote there, Maria Florencia. What else can you tell me about the difference? Let's go back to the previous one. This is the end paper that is at the beginning, and there you can see just the book. And then at the end, we can see both things together. The soccer ball and the book. Okay, they get along. Okay, they get along well at the end. Yes, you can predict that. Completely different background. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, excellent. Okay, maybe the girl gets some personality traits similar to her brother. Okay, maybe, why not? Yes. Very good. All opinions are accepted. Excellent. And okay, before going back to this, I'm going to show you another interesting end paper that I took from book. Yes, this is an Eric Carr book. This is the same author as The Very Hungry Caterpillar. This is called Brown, Brown Bear, What Do You See? And this is a very nice book for small children. And let's see the end papers. Okay, what can you see in these end papers? Just tell me. You have different lines of different colors. Okay. When we start reading the story, you can see that different animals are shown from different colors. First, the brown bear, the red bird, the yellow duck, okay, the blue horse. Okay, if we go back to the end paper, we can see that they follow the same order of the animals. So we can ask the children, our students, if they find some resemblance between the animals and the colors of the end papers. Okay? Or at the end, because at the end we can find the same end papers. So these are works of art, and we can make meaning of all the elements in the picture books. Okay, so let's continue with another element. Let's continue with the front matter. After looking at the cover, the size, the orientation of the book, we can, after the end papers, we get to the front matter. That is where we are going to find the title page or the half title page, a foreword sometimes, or a dedication page. Let's look at Little Beauty, the front matter of this book that is beautiful, really beautiful. Okay, look at the front matter. What can you see in the front matter? What do you see? Yes, okay, great, Alejandrina. We can promote imagination, of course. Yes, connection, visual literacy. Yes, we can promote that. Okay, what can you see in the front matter, in Little Beauty's front matter? What do you see? The roles of the story we know. Okay, that's also connected. We can also say that there is an intertextual relationship of this beauty. Yes, it resembles the roles of the Beauty and the Beast also. Okay, let's look at the rows in a closer way. Can you see inside the rows? There is something hidden. There is some. Okay, the gorilla's face. Yes, a gorilla. So cute. Okay, that's the front matter. Now let's continue. Yes, at the end, let's see the end of the story. It says, everyone laughed. And do you know what happened? Beauty and Gorilla lived happily ever after. Yes. Gorilla is Coco, and Beauty is the little cat. So let's look at, okay, what can you see in the white rose? Inside the white rose. Yes, let's see. The kitty. Yes, there we can see two roses together and both faces. So there are hidden things, very interesting things to discover in these beautiful picture books. The Cat of Alice. Okay, maybe, why not? The Cat of Alice. I will show you another front matter that's called Into the Forest. I took it from Into the Forest, and as you can see, there is a window. Maybe the boy is inside the house, and he can see the woods outside, but there is a message there in the window. What does the message say? It tells you something, yes? This is a door to the story, a window to the story, and you can make meaning of the front matter. So everything is important in picture books because they are works of art. Come home, Dad. So what can you tell me about this? Come home, Dad. Why is you can find that? Who is telling that? Okay. He's waiting for his dad. Okay. So you can make meaning of all the elements in picture books. Typography is another element that you can make meaning of. It can communicate tone. You can make meaning of onomatopoeic words, make the students recreate to tell those onomatopoeic words. And we have to pay attention to the size, the placement, the color, and the framing. I'm going to show you some interesting examples from We're Going on a Bear Hunt. So here in some of the pages, we have the story, but in some of the double spread pages, we have onomatopoeic words. And how do they resemble? Can you tell me how the image and the text are connected? Okay. Yes. How can you connect? Yes. If we read the words, yes, as you can see, the typography, yes, the two words are small and then they become bigger. So we can recreate, you can make students read them. Yes, the sound is making loud. Okay, it's turning louder. Swishy, swashy, swishy, swashy, sweet. Okay, and you can make students raise their voices. Okay, and they resemble what the family is doing. Yes, they are sliding down a nice grassy mountain. Okay, good. Now let's see another example. Here, the family is crossing a river, and okay, there is a degradation of sound. In this case, the onomatopoeic words resemble the sound of the water. Splash, splosh, splash, splosh, splash, splosh. This is a very interesting picture book. If you don't have the possibility to get the books, you are going to find them in YouTube, surely, or in the internet. And in this case, this is another funny picture from Little Beauty. And here we can see typography, how it works and how it tells you something. Because in this case, Gorilla and Beauty did everything together. And it's they did everything together. Okay, so it means everything. Very, very funny. Okay, well, we can make meaning of the page. Yes, of the size of the page. Some images they are quite big and they use the both pages. They are called full bleed page design. There are frames sometimes, and sometimes there are no borders. There are white spaces. They are called AR frames, and the gutter is the line that is in the middle that divides both pages. The page that is on the left, that's called recto page, and the page that is on the right is called the facing verso. Okay, and scholars say, experts say that the left page is the safest place in the story, and the one that creates suspense is the one that is on the right. Okay, and here we can see another type of relationship. In this case, I took it from Brown Brown Bear. What do you see? And there, the teacher is looking at the children, is looking at the children, at your students or at the reader. Okay, there is an interactive relationship. Okay, so we are about, yes, it's almost time. So we are going to, so these are the advantages of using picture books. They can provide children with instant access to the story, encourage personal engagement, promote critical thinking skills, of course, enhance visual capacity. That was the main aim of my workshop, to tell you how you can enhance students' visual literacy through the use of picture books. They can evoke emotional response. That's very important because that's going to stick to their minds, and it's authentic literature, and that's also important. Okay, I want to finish my workshop by showing you some an extract from an interview done to Anthony Brown when he came to Argentina. And this is the question. And I'm going to activate the subtitles because the subtitles are in Spanish, just in case you cannot listen very well. And this is we're going to listen to the answer to this question. Many parents anxiously wait their children start reading books without pictures. Do you think that books without illustrations are always more complex than books? Okay, let's listen to the answer.
It exasperates me to hear parents trying to drag their children away from picture books into what they think of as proper books, that's books without pictures. I think it's a great shame. I hear parents saying that to their children, you don't want a book like that, that's for babies, come and get a proper book. And I find that's an incredibly short-sighted way of looking at learning to read, because learning to read is, which is what they want their children to do, is actually about becoming, finding reading enjoyable, and I think most children find the reading of picture books, particularly with an adult, incredibly enjoyable experience. And adults also find it an enjoyable experience. It's a shared experience. It's a three-way experience, because I think that the reading of a picture book with an adult echoes the relationship between the adult and the child, in the sense that the adult is reading the words very often, the child is reading the pictures, and they're both making the connection between the pictures and the words, and it's that gap between the pictures and the word which is filled by the reader's imagination that makes picture books so special. I also
Okay, so that's what I wanted to share, Anthony Brown's opinion about the reading of picture books. And okay, this is the end. Sorry. Okay, this is the end of my presentation. Thanks everyone for staying up to the end. And this is my, there you are going to find the workshop resources. And Eleanor is going to share the link if you don't have how to scan the QR code. And there you're going to find my presentation in PDF, a handout in order to analyze picture books, a guide to analyze, and also other resources that are very interesting to check. Okay, so thanks everyone. I will leave you the QR code and the link.
Thank you, Alba. We have enjoyed it so much, really. We just posted the, the link to your Padlet. If you cannot,
okay, thank you.
Scan the QR code, and
okay.
We will post the link to download your certificate. I was really impressed, Alba. I don't know if anyone wants to ask a question. You can please use the chat. But yes. I really love, what you emphasize. That we can really make meaning of all the elements in picture books. It's just, you helped us notice, what we have to make students notice while we are reading the picture book with them. And that everything is important because they are really works of art. It's amazing, really.
Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for your comments in the chat. I'm reading them. And if you want to know more about that, you can find me here in this email. If you have further questions, I have a lot of materials related to picture books. And also you have the Padlet. Yes, it's up to you. Yes, that's the idea, that you become passionate as I am about picture books, and to spark the idea of researching about picture books.
Thank you so much, Alba. And I want to invite you to attend next webinar next Tuesday, because it's also related to picture books. It's more related to storytelling when we are teaching English to young learners. And it's going to be presented by Susana Perez, who did a program in the US specializing in young adult literature. And she will be sharing with us how we as teachers can develop critical thinking skills through storytelling to children. So please join us next Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. in Argentina. And thank you all for, being with us and learning, because this is what we do. We learn every single time we meet. When all these alumni share and cascade their knowledge and what they are working on, and I can see your passion, Alba, is picture books and what you can do with them. So thank you very much. So you have there the link to the next webinar. We have posted the link to your Padlet with all the resources, and the link to download your certificate. Thank you all for joining us today, and we'll see you soon. Alba, I just want to invite everyone too. Alba will also be presenting in the FAPI conference in Argentina, that is going to be in person. So those of you who are in Argentina will have the chance to meet Alba in person. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Elena.
Okay,
Thanks.
well,
Okay.
have a good rest of the day, everyone, and see you soon. Bye-bye.